name's Aisha. I'm a park ranger here at Klondike Gold Rush in Seattle. The Gold Rush was an exciting time for Seattleites. It was a time of scammers, a chance to strike it rich, an adventure that didn't always end well for everybody. We're gonna take a look at some of our artifacts that have some interesting stories attached to them. So yeah, follow me. Soapy Smith got his nickname because of one of his infamous scams. He set up a corner where he would scam people by having one of his men win a $100 bill from buying one of his soaps. So then it would encourage others to come and try and buy the similar bars of soap, thinking they could find that money. His soap was actually covered in blue cloth, and he would make it seem like he would slip the money into the blue cloth because of his good sleight of hand. None of the money was in there, and it would fool people into thinking that they could either buy soap with bigger amounts of money. Either it could be like $10 bills, $20 bills, and up to $100 bills, just for the low price of $5 per bar soap, which back then was actually a lot of money. That's how he got his nickname, Soapy Smith. These are wooden snow goggles, and they were made to protect people's eyes from the bright sun that reflected off the snow. So these goggles have long, skinny slits which help block out extra light. This style of goggles was created by the indigenous people who lived on the tundra, where snow blindness was a serious problem. Miners would trade with the Alaskan Natives and Yukon First Nation people for items like these, as well as fur coats and other things to help survive the winter. New gold rushers, also known as stampeders, were very unprepared for the extreme climate, and they definitely needed these type of goggles. Mush! So these are dog shoes, and they highlight how important sled dogs were during the Klondike Gold Rush and moving goods during very harsh winters. Dogs were in such high demand that people would use any breed, even if they weren't built for the tough work or the cold weather conditions. In fact, pet dogs in Seattle were being stolen and shipped off to the Klondike to be part of sled dog teams. You definitely had to keep an eye on your dogs if you were a dog owner back then. So one of the most famous dogs during the Klondike Gold Rush was a dog named Julian. He was a 200-pound mastiff, and he set the record for pulling the heaviest load of any dog in the area. Many people offered to buy Julian and for a really high price, but his owner, Clarence Berry, wouldn't sell. Julian wasn't just a hardworking dog, he was also a part of the family. So imagine going for miles and miles in the snow with the harsh wind coming towards you. So this is a dog sled, and it is a cool example on how people got around during the gold rush. Traveling through the Klondike in Canada was super tough because of the cold weather and the rough terrain. Because of that, people used dog sleds to carry their supplies around. The Canadian Northwest Mounted Police, aka the Mounties, didn't allow anyone to come through Canada unless they had about 1 ton worth of stuff, like literally 2,000 pounds worth of goods, because too many people were dying while going up to the gold mines. A lot of people were very unexperienced in that type of environment. Some of them were coming from like cities, had no idea on how to be outdoors, and so they wanted to make sure everyone was getting through with enough supplies and weren't starving to death and left in the wilderness to die. So yeah, so this is a type of dog sled that was used back then. And believe it or not, because of the high demand for dogs, some people even use goats. Why goats? Well, for those people who did use goats, it actually had another benefit because they could actually use the fleece in order to make clothing later. And then some of them could even like provide goat milk. Another one of our artifacts is a thermal shirt, which many of our miners wore back then. There was a man named Bill Johnson, also known as the Klondike Rose. The name was actually given to him ironically because he had a very strong odor to him. And that was because he did not bathe for months on end. And that actually was quite common for a lot of miners. So imagine in 1887, many people around you just wore clothes for months on end and like maybe bathed like once or twice a year. For Bill Johnson, he was extremely stinky. And one of the reasons is because there was uranium, the area that he was mining. And that seemed to react with the zinc that he was using in order to treat some of his sores. So then that kind of drove him to act very strangely. and some of his fellow miners started to get concerned for him. They literally corralled him to get into the creek nearby, poured a bunch of soap onto him, and just like started scrubbing him because his stench was just too much. Say like his clothes, similar to this, did not survive. They just got rid of that. Eventually, he really did live up to his name because every Sunday he would go to church and he would smell like a rose. And after that, he just was never as stinky as he used to be.